Great to see everybody. I'm John Zadar. This is On Top and Hot. We've got a special episode today. We are going to be talking with the CCO of Bioxytran, ticker BIXT, on the OTC QB market. Now, we have talked with Mike about 6 months ago, but we've got updates to share with you today. Now, we're not going to go deep into the drugs today because we've got that video 6 months ago, and we talk a lot about their 2 drug candidates. The company is a clinical biotech with 2 revolutionary drug platforms. Their first is their oral glycovirology drug, which recently completed phase 2 trials with top-line results of 100% viral reduction in 7 days for COVID-19 by neutralizing the virus before it enters the cells. And they've also found that this works on many other diseases as well. And we're going to talk about that. The company's second drug candidate is being developed for strokes and hypoxia. This is tissues starving for oxygen. BXT25, because of its small molecular size, can carry oxygen to areas where blood can't get to. And to tell us more about these drugs and the progress that they're making, we have Mike Sheikh with us today. How you doing, Mike?
Good to be here again.
Yes, again, I told you we'd be glad to have you back. As I said, you were here back in May. So folks, if you want to see that video, it was back in May. But it seems like it was a lot longer than that. And you've had a lot of progress since then as well. Last time we talked, you were saying that your primary concerns were getting into that phase 3 trial for your Prolectin M, and that you were looking for funding so that you could continue those trials. How about catching us up on where you're at right now, Mike?
Yeah, sure. Happy to. So we have initiated our dose optimization study. So the dose optimization study is the small study prior to our phase 3, which we have approval to proceed on. Mm-hmm. But we got to get that done because that dose optimization study is going to inform the design of the phase 3. We're excited. We have initiated it. So, a lot of investors might be thinking, okay, well, what does that mean? That means we're trying to recruit patients. And then one of the things that investors should be looking to is looking how prevalent COVID is in India, because that's where we're recruiting our patients from. And
right.
Unfortunately, it's not as prevalent as it is here.
Really?
There's actually a huge disparity. So inevitably there will be a surge. I mean, it always happens. There's this new HV1 variant out there, and there's people all around me that are telling me how contagious it is. But eventually that way it's going to make its way to these big population centers like China, India, and there will inevitably be another outbreak. I mean, we don't want this to happen, but inevitably it's going to happen. We can't stop it. So that kind of gives you an update on what we're doing there. Now we don't have the funding in place, but we kind of do, in the sense that if you look at our filings, we have an S1 in place. We have an institutional investor, Triton, and it's kind of like a line of credit for us, if you look at it that way. We control and we give notice when we want to take down the money. So yeah, you're bringing it up. Okay, good. So anyhow, that's that's kind of the situation on the funding. But we have other, we're working on other ways to do this. One of the things that I talked about recently here is what we're doing is we're looking for non-dilutive ways to fund the company.
Okay.
So what the heck does that mean? Well, What I found out is that there are at least, and I've identified this list, and I went and did a whole special presentation. I think it was on emerging growth and I refer to
Right.
those videos there. But there's 150 companies that are trading below cash that are biotechs.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing is we're going after small pharma instead of big pharma. So like we've tried big pharma, and what we've seen is, well, just you get us more data. Okay. But I've
Well,
kind
it
of
seems to me that the small farmers would be hungry, more
they're
hungry.
hungrier. Yes.
Yeah.
And why is that? Because when you're trading at, let's say, a 50, 60, 70, 80% discount to cash, are your investors happy with you when you're trading at, let's say, 20% of your cash value? No, no, they're not happy. So, here's our pitch. Here's our pitch. And we go to a small pharma and we say, look, guys, your investors are not happy with you. The stock's under pressure. You guys got to do something. And typically, the reason they're under pressure is because their drug is not doing that well. People don't believe that it's going to work. Well, there's very few people that are. When you look at our clinical trial results, we had 100% efficacy.
Right.
There's very few people that are going to look at that and realize that this is not an approvable drug. No, you're darn right. This is an approvable drug, and we're very adamant about that. I mean, there aren't many drug companies out there that have. I can say this with a fact. No one has a better. I can't say we have the best, but we do. But I can say the best chance of coming to our endpoints, right? Because we've done it. We had 100% efficacy. We met our endpoints, and we had a p-value of 0.001 in the last trial. I mean, these are good numbers. And a matter of fact, they're so good that it's like 1 in 10,000 good. And I think I'm rehashing things, so I'm not gonna go there. But we're going after small pharma with the pitch that, look, guys, I have something that I think could be bigger than penicillin.
That's huge.
It's huge. It's huge. It's absolutely huge.
Penicillin changed the world.
You know what? Let's just talk about that real fast. Penicillin did change the world, because if you think about it, right now, let's say there's teenagers out there that don't have pimples on their face. Why? Antibiotics. You see, penicillin came first, and then all these antibiotics followed afterward, right?
Right.
So we have a drug, and oral drug that you'll see it's Prolectin M. And then the idea is we're going after COVID, but then there's all these other viral diseases that follow after that. You see? All right. So so my pitch to the drug company or to the small pharma is, hey, we got something that's bigger than penicillin. Work with us. You guys got angry investors, knocking at your door. What we have is a pipeline of drugs that you need. Why don't we use your money, my pipeline, form some sort of joint venture and do this? Let's do this trial. Let's prove this technology out. And then let's go flip this to big pharma for billions. How's that?
How's your progress been on that front?
Actually, we have had progress since my video on emerging growth. We've had progress. I've signed one NDA, and the other one we did put a bid out there for a company. So we are active in the space. We just, like I said, we just started a couple weeks ago. So it takes time, but I feel very comfortable with this strategy. So that's one of the ways that we're also pursuing financing. So don't think of it as we have to go to the public markets is the only way to find financing. There's plenty, like I said, most of these 150 companies, a lot of them are NASDAQ companies, and we could kind of almost kill two birds with one stone get a NASDAQ uplisting, and that provided we were to go reverse merger route. And I'm not saying that we're doing that, but my primary goal is a joint venture. Because this way you get to know the person, you get to date a little bit, so to speak. You don't make that big huge jump. Because how do you know the corporate cultures are gonna mesh and stuff like that? But so it's a little bit easier of a route. But there's some companies that it clearly makes sense to just take over. And the good news is, I think that's where the money is. I think because VCs are not funding biotechs. There's no money coming into biotechs anymore. So that's the path forward for small pharma is consolidation. The market's calling for consolidation. So we're a company that's ready to help with that. And we got a pipeline. And we got companies out there that need pipelines, need something new, something to energize their investors.
Speaking of your pipeline, you've put out a couple more peer review articles. You had one we looked at 6 months ago, which did outstanding. Peer review articles don't really get a lot of readings, and yours got a ton of readings. So I see you've just had two more I wasn't even looking at how many people read them. I was looking at the information you put out. Some tremendous new information, stuff about doing a patent with your Prolactin M, which now works with, what is it, up to 60 different diseases?
Well, that was
tumors.
We don't know how many. So John, I'll correct you. We don't know how many it works on, but we have the patent names 60 viruses. So we have to do a little bit of work there. But let's take a look at what we have done. We've done in vitro studies on COVID-19. We did an in vitro study on RSV and an in vitro study on influenza. And guess what happened? So our results showed that our molecules, we have two of them actually, are going to work in those in those different disease indications in vitro. Now, COVID-19 is the only one that we've tested in the clinic. However, we have another preprint. There's a preprint out there, a journal article. This one wasn't peer-reviewed. That shows what our binding mechanism is. Our binding mechanism is our spike protein, or our molecule binds the spike protein, and we used NMR spectroscopy, which is basically it's imaging that uses how do I say this? Nuclear physics, if you would, to prove that two things bind to each other. So we can say scientifically, or mathematically rather, not scientifically, mathematically, that we can prove that our molecule binds to the recombinant spike protein. All right.
Yeah, you were telling us last time it doesn't do what all the other drugs have been doing, going to the top of the spike, but on the outside.
Yeah, we go to the side.
Right.
We go to the galectin fold.
I kind of think of it as a peanut shell around the nut. You just put a shield around that cell so nothing can get into it. You don't have to worry about degeneration.
Yeah, you can think of it that way, but we're really the shell is more around the virus itself. So not necessarily the cell. We don't have any, and I say that because from a scientific perspective, do we target the virus or we target the cell? If you're targeting the cell, you could have some sort of side effects. When you're targeting the virus, your chances of having any side effects are nil, because you're targeting something that's in that extracellular domain, that's in the blood coursing through your veins, that goes between cells. That's where you're trying to neutralize it. So our molecule essentially neutralizes the virus. It doesn't
matter what virus it is right now. You're finding that this system works with numerous
Well, we're excited. We know it works. We know in vitro that it works with 3, right? And the mechanism of action is the same. So we're very excited to figure out the other viruses that it may work on. Again, all this R&D is contingent on funding, and it could be as simple. This is not these tests, these in vitro tests. I mean, they're expensive. They could cost anywhere between, let's say, $25,000-$50,000 for a test. But look at all the viruses that we could go after. The thing that we don't know is should we go after HIV, for example? There's so much evidence to suggest that this thing works on HIV. Maybe that's the next one that we do. I don't know. I'm just saying, what if we show in vitro activity in that? How are investors going to respond? Or do I maybe need to do another one? Maybe need to do a deadly disease like Ebola. That takes a higher level lab and stuff like that. A little bit more money. Where is our money best spent? How many disease indications do I need to show investors before they get a clue that this has broad spectrum activity?
So for people who don't understand, indicators are different ways your drug can be used. And I've looked at some drugs, and most don't have more than 2 or 3 at the most. And sometimes one gets pulled away later because it isn't working as well as they thought. And you're talking about 30, 40, 50, 60 indicators.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's, as a matter of fact, I've got you just brought on an interim chief medical officer here recently, Leslie AJ. She said something here I would like to share with everybody because it's potent. She says down here about the patent. You have just applied for a patent for this Prolectin M working with all these different diseases, correct? She says here, the patent represents a huge expansion of our intellectual property in the field of glycovirology. This patent indicates that our galectin antagonist represents potentially one of the biggest platform technologies in existence. How many big pharmas that have over 60 disease indications can say it comes from just one platform technology? This patent covers some of the largest indications in virology and includes viruses such as COVID-19, influenza, herpes, Epstein-Barr, shingles, hepatitis C, measles, mumps, rubella. I mean, I'm impressed here. It also covers very deadly viruses like Ebola, Marburg, and Nipah. I don't even know if I'm saying that one right. We are just scratching the surface and feel that follow-on research is necessary to prove the mechanism and overall importance of this technology in biotech field. That's mind-blowing. You're covering deadly diseases and common diseases. Wow.
Yeah, it really, that's a heck of a statement. Now, Dr. Leslie Ajayi, it's actually he.
Sorry, Leslie.
He's pretty amazing. He's written a number of journal articles, probably, I think he's written over 70 medically based journal articles. So he's really an excellent addition to our team. And, his specialty is thinking outside the box on clinical, drug design. So we think, that's definitely very helpful for us, because what we're looking to do is we're looking to get this drug approved as quickly as possible. We're looking to go through the quickest pathway possible, the most cost-efficient pathway possible. Right. We are thinking with shareholders in mind. And I said this before, the way that we get compensated as a management team is through increasing the value of our stock price. We're not sitting here. I mean, we do have an accrued salary, but what history has shown that we've forgiven that or converted it into stock. We haven't. We're not. So why I bring that up is because we're aligned with shareholders. We want to increase the value of the company. That's why we're looking after non-dilutive forms of financing. wherever we can find it. But we still need to, we need to be realistic. We need to keep the ball rolling. If we can't convince one of these small pharmas, hey, join us and let's make hundreds of millions of dollars together. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, so to speak.
Right. Now, I heard from you. I was doing a lot of research trying to see how much progress you've made since the last time we talked. And somehow I missed it, but you and I were talking just before the show. And you were telling me that the prolactin M has had new discoveries that it can be used with tumors and is effectively working.
No. You need to, no, that's close.
I knew I had to ask you because it was mind-boggling what you said. So straighten me out and tell everybody else what you were trying to tell me.
You should. I have a LinkedIn article, and it's on my LinkedIn page if you wanted to bring that up. But what I said was there's another galectin antagonist. There's 3 galectin antagonist companies,
right?
And the last galectin antagonist company, I'll just talk about them openly. They're called Galecto, and they came out, and it's talked about in my article there. They came out with news, and you ready for this news? The news said that they use their galectin antagonist, and here I am talking about a competitor, right? But check this out. They came out with news, and they had 60% responders rate in 3 weeks in a non-small cell lung cancer trial. I want you to think about that. So RECIST criteria, that's the criteria that they use to measure tumor shrinkage, means you have a response rate if you're over 30% tumor shrinkage. Mm-hmm. So their drug, in combination with another immuno-oncology drug, shrunk tumors. 60% of the people shrunk tumors in 3 weeks. I want you to really, really think about that. Now, the immuno-oncology drug by itself, called Tecentriq, their historical real-world numbers are 10.2% in 3 months in this disease indication.
Yeah.
Okay, so here this new drug combination comes in, and it goes 60%. Now we're just roughing these numbers out. It's 5 times better in just 3 weeks. There's something's going on here. Now, is this a fluke? The answer is no, because last time I think last time on an interview I talked a little bit about cancer. Another galectin antagonist that was about 4 years ago had similar results. They had 100% responders rate in basically I think it was 4 months. It could have been 3 months, but in 4 months they had 100% responders rate in a cohort of patients, and one of those people had a complete response, which is basically the tumors are all gone.
Wow!
I want you to think about that. So we had a galectin antagonist 4 years ago. Incredible results. No one cares. Okay. Then we have a new galectin. No, actually, it's not no one cares. They kind of seem to pivot toward cancer, toward liver disease. And then we have a new galectin antagonist that was tried in cancer with an immuno-oncology drug, just like theirs was, right? Theirs was tried with Keytruda, and this one was tried with Tecentriq. And guess what happens? In another 2 months or 3 months when they come out with their data, what do I think is going to happen? I think they're going to put up the same numbers that the other company did and have 100% response rate in that cohort of patients. I want you to think about that. We're getting rid of cancer here, and what they'd said in the press release was, we're pivoting toward liver for some liver disease. Now they were under a little bit of pressure because they failed a clinical trial, and these are all facts that I talk about. And what I basically said in my LinkedIn article is, look, we're not going to let people that are afflicted with cancer not see this technology. That, I think we have an obligation to mankind, or humankind rather. We have an obligation to get this technology out there.
So then
And
are you going to turn towards that then, since you see the drug can be used for cancer? Are you going to add cancer to your platform? Are you going to turn away from
since you have my presentation up, why don't you go down a couple slides and you're going to see cancer's already on there.
Okay. I can find
so that. Cancer ready is part of the master plan. Okay, stop right there. No, go back up. Look right there. You see it?
Right there.
This was part of the plan a long time ago, but we have a little bit different strategy in clinical trial development than the other two companies that have had amazing. Here I am talking about my competitors.
Yeah, you are.
You're telling how great their technology is. Why am I patting them on the back? Because the truth is, a target is a target. Right. We also target galectin-3. So what happens when we go? Our goal is to get this drug approved as quickly as humanly possible, and we're using COVID to get it done quickly because we can. It's a prevalent disease. Now, cancer is measured in months and years.
Yeah.
How long is COVID measured in? Days. 5 days.
Yeah.
You see the difference, investors? I hope you're seeing. So we're going to use this to get the drug approved, and then we can embark upon a label expansion. So if you're sitting there as a cancer patient and you're weighing all your options, because you know how many cancer trials there are, and then you have an approved drug, yeah, it might be for COVID, but you're saying there's some chance that this might work on you. I mean, how reluctant are you going to be to take that? You see, it's that out of the box thinking that makes us different as a drug developer. And as investors, you should like that. You should love that. You should embrace that. You should be buying our stock, right? Because we're doing things differently.
Yeah, well, you have so much potential. The last time we were talking, you had two great drugs. You got your BTX25 and your Prolactin M, which are doing great things. But now it's expanding what you can do with what you have. I mean, 60 diseases is just mind-boggling. I mean, you're talking virtually a miracle drug here, and that's exciting. Now, of course, a lot more research and due diligence will have to be done in all those areas. But as you said, you've got targets now. And as long as you have targets, you know where you're going and you can get there. And if you have a plan to get there quicker and cheaper, all the better.
Thank you. Yes.
Now, we had talked before about your share count. We had asked if you were planning on doing a reverse split. You said you didn't see any reason to do that. You saw the value in the company. You still feel that?
Yes, we do. Good. There's no reason to do a reverse split at this time, for sure.
Yeah, I bring it up because so many companies on the OTC are doing reverse splits right now. I mean, every week, multiple. And for the OTC stock players, it's scary. It's an earthquake, an avalanche. It's happening over and over again. So I ask it because it really calms our investors down, knowing that that's not going to happen tomorrow, next week. And boom, I invested in you and you went and did a reverse split. It's quite heavy.
No, but I actually answered that already. I said our interests are aligned with management's interests are aligned with shareholders, right?
You did.
Yeah.
About those peer reviews, what sort of response did you get from the medical community? With
the medical community, you see, that's the thing, is the medical community really embraced the peer review journal articles. Our phase 2 journal article, it made it into the top, I'm going to say 3% of all journal articles last year in terms of like social media exposure and stuff like that. We had a couple of social media influencers that really pushed this because look, how often do you get 100% responders rate in a peer-reviewed medical journal? And I can answer that. You will get that once every 10 years. So there might be 10,000 clinical trials out there.
Wow.
And we are the guys that got it. We got the 100% responders rate. The last one to get 100% responders rate in a virus was a drug called Harvoni, and that was manufactured or sponsored by Gilead Sciences.
Right.
And now Harvoni ended up being a cure for hepatitis C. And just to give you a little bit of background, the Gilead Sciences went from 80 billion market cap over a couple of years later to 160 billion market cap, and most of it can be attributed to getting that asset Harvoni. I mean, so I want investors to think about it. The potential here is in the billions, not in tens of millions. And right now we're trading at a market cap of around 20 to 25 million right now.
Yeah,
we're extremely undervalued. And I'm hoping that we get our value inflection point happens here soon when we announce that we've started dosing patients in India. I think that could be a really good catalyst. And then once we start dosing, hopefully the idea is that we're going to finish, very quickly.
Now, I wanted to ask you a question personally. You're doing all of this trials for your Prolactin M over in India, right?
Right.
You gotten through phase 2. Now, when this does get through phase 3 and is approved, is it only sellable in India?
The answer is yes. It is only going to, our registrational trial will be in India. It will be made in India. It will be manufactured in India. Right. It will be distributed in India.
Not that that's a small market by any means. It's the second largest.
It's small market. It's 1.4 billion people. So yeah. But the thing is, John, in India, you're not going to get the prices that you're going to get here in the U.S. Okay, right. But there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there. Once it's made and approved in India, the genie's out of the bottle. Okay, so right. there's no stopping this from helping humanity. That's my point. It's not, if this drug works on the other disease indications, we're very confident that it does. But think about the future of this. All right, you walk into the hospital with an upper respiratory tract infection. You're coughing, you're wheezing, you just don't feel good. You've got the aches, everything. So you walk in there, and they say, you know what? You have an upper respiratory tract infection. Here, take this drug, go home. You're going to feel better in, maybe 6 hours, 12 hours, something like that. And then within about 3 days, you're going to test PCR negative, and you're going to be able to go to work. And it doesn't matter if you have RSV. It doesn't matter if you have influenza, and it doesn't matter if you have COVID-19. So you just go in, and they don't even do a test on you. They just look at you. They give you this drug. I mean, how cool is that? Here we have a drug that could make it. I mean, let's look at wouldn't it be cool to have a drug where, and I'm not saying it does this yet because we haven't proved any of this, okay? But I'm just looking at the vision. A drug that literally makes you feel better fast and then gets you to work in 3 days. I mean, how cool is that?
That's a lot better.
And when you go back to work, you're not infecting people because you're PCR negative. I mean, that's basically what we did is we proved that, or in our clinical trial, it showed 88% responders rate in 3 days. So people tested, nasal swab, PCR negative. Does that mean that they were over the disease? I'm not making that. I'm not making that claim at all. I'm just saying nasal shedding is how we
better it real fast.
They're not spreading the disease. And they don't have any symptoms. So chances are they're over it. But did we prove that to a virologist? No. But people aren't looking at that. People are looking at do I feel better? I mean, that's how they're
Right.
gauge. That's how they're going to ultimately gauge whether or not to upgrade.
Empirical evidence is what consumers use.
That's what they're going to use.
Yeah. Now you have just actually applied for a new drug with the FDA, didn't you?
Yes, and we basically we got we can start dosing people.
So it's exciting. Now this is the same drug you're working with over in India, right? You're bringing it over here to America now.
It's the same drug.
Right.
It will be, you can go on to clinicaltrials.gov, to see what we're doing. It's a different protocol.
Okay.
But it's going to be the same. It's the same drug, but we're not like getting it in India. I mean, we're gonna probably make it here.
Right.
Yeah.
So all the work you've done over in India is just helping you to make
Yes.
it easier over here in the FDA.
Yeah. And the thing is, the reason why this was so important for us to get the IND in the U.S. That's what investors want to know about. Why is that so important? Because that event opened up the ability for me to talk to small pharma. Small pharma can't wrap their heads around an Indian approval strategy, but they can wrap their heads around an FDA centric strategy, right?
Right.
And that is why that was so darn important for us, is because now I'm in the game with small pharma. Before, when I didn't have that IND, I really couldn't pursue that strategy. But that's why we can pursue that strategy now. And that's why that was so important. And investors, I don't think, have really grasped that yet. Hopefully this video and other videos that we've done, just keep beating the drum, and people will get it. This company is way undervalued.
Yeah, right now the OTC market is undervalued. I mean, it's just
Yes.
taking a bloody beating. There's less people on the market. There's less trading on the market, less volume, less money. It's just less across the board. And a lot of good companies are
John,
falling now.
you've seen the move on the RUT 2000, right? The Russell 2000.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I don't know if it's going to play catch up. So I'm hoping that rising tide. I'm just trying to be optimistic here. So
Well,
you're stating what's happened, right? But I got to think that OTC is eventually going to turn the corner. And if it does turn the corner, companies like ours are going to stick out because we got a low float, or we got a relatively low float.
yeah.
We got a very, very, how do I say, ardent shareholder base. These shareholders, they know what they got. They're waiting for us to come out with results. They're not selling down here. I mean, there's very little trading activity down here. And I think a lot of it is based on the idea that they don't want to sell. That they're into this long term. They want to see us do something good for mankind. That's what they're in it for.
How soon do you think it'll be before you hit phase 3 over in India? Roughly, just a guess.
The truth is, I don't know. And I don't know when the next wave is going to hit India. And
Right.
we might need that wave. I mean, I don't wish a wave of disease on anyone, mind you. But unless that wave hits, or we pivot our strategy to the United States, because the United States, there's no shortage of patients. And John, we're not going after patients with underlying medical conditions. We're going after the average person. And I want investors to think about that. We're going after the hardest disease indication there is. There's a graveyard of companies that have pursued early stage COVID. And we have the best clinical trial results in the hardest disease indication that there is. So do we think our science works? I think you can read between the lines what we think, what we believe. We're very comfortable that when we get into trials, we're going to meet our endpoints because we've done it before.
Yeah,
We've
I don't
just-
see any problems. I mean, the last time we talked, you were at, like you said, high 80s in 3 days, 100% in 7 days.
Yes.
You can't ask for anything better. I mean, instant maybe, but outside of that, that is
Well, John,
fantastic.
let's give investors like a little bit of context, okay? And these are real numbers. The average person is going to take 8.5 days to clear COVID, and that's what the research says. And the average person means that 50% of the people are going to be able to test PCR negative in around 8 days. What we accomplished was 88% are. Oh, I see you're highlighting some of this stuff.
Yeah. Just pointing out a few things as you're talking here. I see.
Yeah,
there.
well, 88% of the people were PCR negative in 3 days.
That's just unbelievable. I mean, that's ahead of the game.
We can't compare to Paxlovid, for example, the largest drug ever, because they're going after people with underlying medical conditions. So that's the difference between Paxlovid and my drug. My drug has a much bigger market. We're going after people with standard risk. So people like you, John, people like me, standard risk people. I don't have any underlying medical conditions. Right. So standard risk persons. And you know what? A standard risk person, how fast can they clear COVID? Oh, I don't know, maybe 2-3 days, maybe, some people less. But do you want to be sick for 2-3 days, or would you rather be sick?
The least amount of time. Thank you very much.
The least amount of time is better. You see, what happens in our bodies is our bodies initiate, a healthy person initiates some sort of immune response. Does an immune response happen like that? No,
I don't think so.
It takes time for your body to build up that immune response. Now, when you're taking our drug, the way the mechanism of action works is it's a neutralizing effect, right? So as soon as it hits the target, it's neutralized. That's it. That's like more of an instant type thing. It's not instant. It still takes time to get into the blood. So it's not like boom, all of a sudden you feel better. Nothing works that way. It still takes a little bit of time, but it's much quicker than your body's own immune system. That's what's so exciting about this technology.
Now, just for clarity's sake, we know that you are looking at potentially 60 different diseases that you could be targeting. What is your focus going to be? Because that's a big plate. That's a lot of due diligence. And I know you're not going to shuffle off on all of them at one time. So you're looking at cancer, you're looking at COVID, you're looking at...
No, we're not looking, no, time out. We aren't looking at cancer, okay?
You're not?
No, because we have two companies that kind of have already shown us that it works. I don't need to show that it works. There's two other companies that have galectin antagonists that have miraculous results. I don't need to prove that. I mean, yes, I will need to prove that with my drug when the appropriate time comes, but the appropriate time hasn't come yet. Our strategy on cancer, and I'll be clear, is we're going to get the drug approved first, and then we can do a label expansion. Okay, so I don't want to mislead investors that we're going to start working on cancer. No, we're not.
And what is the indicator that you're passing the drug for? Is it just one indicator?
Yeah, we're going after COVID-19. We're focused on COVID-19. Okay. And then I could see us expanding to RSV and influenza because of the dream that I just talked to you about. The dream is you go in for an upper respiratory tract infection. You just take this drug. It becomes a standard of care. You go home. You feel better. You test PCR negative in 3 days, and you go back to work. So that's the label expansion that I hope to do after COVID.
Yeah,
because
you really don't need 60 different indicators to have a successful drug. As you said, you're going after the common person, the average person who gets these respiratory infections. That's a lot of us. I mean, that is a lot of us without any complications. And you get us back into the workforce, which is what the government wants. Get
So,
back out
John,
there and start working.
So we did 3, and we haven't had a value inflection point, right? So maybe I need to do another one to shock people. Maybe I need to do another after that. So the question is, how many disease indications do I need to show that this works on before investors get the idea that this is huge? So that's how many we're going to do, because it doesn't cost that much.
Good. Glad to hear that.
So stay tuned, investors, because we plan on doing more. Because we think that if we do a couple more, they'll get the idea that it wasn't a fluke, that it has broad spectrum activity.
It can't be a fluke. I mean, you had, I don't know how many people, 34 or something like that. And it was across the board, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah. When you win a game, and you could say that it was a game, basically 100-6. Do you know who won that game?
You did.
Exactly. Right. So
right. The
we
placebo
had
got 6%. You got 100%.
We got 100% in 7 days. The control group got 6.
What more need be said? I mean, if that's not a,
I don't know what it's going to take to get through to investors that this represents probably one of the best biotech deals in OTC.
You are well undervalued right now. Yes. I mean, it is a good time to get in because we know the drugs are progressing. We know we want to get those answers. We know the governments, whether it be India, America, are all interested in backing these too. And when you've got results like that, how can you not move forward? How can you not hit the target and be where you want to be in a year or 2 years from now? I don't know how long it's going to take, but I can see you're heading in the right direction.
Thank you.
It's very hopeful. I mean, when you put all those different diseases out there, it's one thing to be talking about upper respiratory infections, but measles, rubella, Ebola, oh my God. You're talking about a very serious drug with potentials that others can pick up. As you said, you've got people working on cancer now with the same drug. I'm excited about it.
No, not the same drug, same target. Same target. Yeah. And, so galectin inhibitors have been shown to work in psoriasis, atopic dermatitis, cancer.
Right. We played your game last time. We looked up galectin on Google.
Pulmonary fibrosis,
diabetes,
NASH. We haven't proven. There's a lot of literature that says diabetes. Absolutely. That's a small little indication, right? But there's treatment out there, right? So we have to tap, we have to go after, if we were to target things, we target things that are with unmet medical needs, right? Right now, is there a scientific argument for diabetes? Absolutely. All you have to do is go into Google, type in galectin-3 and diabetes in Google, and you will start to see all the journal articles that suggest that a galectin antagonist is going to do really good things for diabetes. But we can't go there yet. We're a small little company that has limited resources. We got to focus. And I want investors to know we're highly focused on getting the drug approved. You shouldn't care that it's COVID, but a lot of people think COVID's over. That's your right to think that it's over, but we still have 20,000-30,000 cases a day here. I think it's that much. I'm not sure if it was a day or the week. They changed the metrics on it, but that's still a lot of people coming down with COVID in the United States.
And can spread it.
And it's still not over, is my point. So a treatment option is needed, and we'll just leave it at that. We need to get this drug to market as quickly and as efficiently.
We've covered a lot of things here, but I get the feeling I might have missed something. Is there anything you would like to bring to the people's attention that I may not have brought up?
We talked about our patent or patent pending in this case.
Patent pending. Yeah.
We're really excited about that. We talked about our strategy to fund the company going forward. We want to go after non-dilutive financing. We're thinking of the shareholders. We talked about that. My small pharma strategy, I'm very serious about. We talked about my LinkedIn article and how excited I am for the future. I'm proponent of for cancer patients. That's just written into my DNA. It makes me who I am. Read my LinkedIn article, and then you'll understand why I'm so passionate about that. I think we covered a lot of new stuff.
We did.
And then we're anxiously awaiting patients to recruit, or not. I'm sorry. We're anxiously awaiting dosing of patients in India.
Right.
We have an IND. I mean, so we covered all those things. So lots of catalysts on the horizon.
Yeah.
We do need funding. We have a plan. We have an institutional investor behind us. So all it needs is a little bit of exposure, and we'll feel comfortable pulling the trigger. So
trying my best here for you, pal.
Yeah, hopefully the investors see that the long-term potential and want to put some money into it. And the truth is, they don't have to put much money into our company, because if this does just a tenth of what I think it's going to do, there's going to be one heck of a return out there. So you don't have to put in much. Just put in a little and watch it grow.
The problem right now is so many OTC investors, traders are not really investing. They're playing the bounces. They're playing the runs.
Yes.
And honestly, right now is a great time to be picking up long holds, because the market is so down right now. I don't care if it's cannabis, R&D biotechs, the EV market, everything is down. Find those winning companies you see have the potential, like yours, that have patents that are covering broad ranges of applications, that have drugs that have shown supreme efficacy. These are the companies you want to get in on cheap and be patient. Put them on the back burner and just let them sit there until the world gets better, and watch these companies start coming back to life, and watch your investment grow. I like your company, Mike. I like your product. I like you.
Thank you. I like you too. So we'll do more of these.
Yeah, the next time you want to come on board, just reach out to me. We'll get you out here, and you can tell our investors what's going on. And investors, please keep up with Mike's information. As I said, we've already done 2 interviews. We had one back in May. We cover his Prolectum M and the BXT25 in much more detail in the first video. This one, we were just doing the updates on where their company is moving forward. I appreciate having you on here, Mike. It has been fun. I look forward to seeing you in 3 to 6 months, maybe.
Sounds good.
All right, folks. Thank you for your time.